Sometimes you check into a perfectly normal hotel. Standard room, standard night. You close the door, turn off the lights, and at some point, you realize you're not alone. There are no voices, no shadows, but something is off. You can't sleep. You start listening. You don't want to look behind you. These are 3 true stories, told by people who spent just one night in a hotel and never forgot it. Story 1. The Window Across. This wasn't my first business trip. I had long grown used to anonymous hotel rooms, white sheets and windows with views of nowhere. Sometimes it's a highway. Sometimes it's someone else's balcony. Nothing unusual, as long as there's silence and decent Wi-Fi. This time, I was sent to a city I'd never been to. Something between a small town and a fading industrial center. Quiet, gray, and lifeless at night. I arrived in the evening. The weather was overcast and humid. No rain, but the pavement was wet, and the sky hung low like concrete. I'd booked the hotel in advance decent reviews. It was called Grand Palace, though in reality it was just an 8-story box. No palace, no grandeur. The receptionist was polite. I asked for a room on the top floor. I like it when no one is above me. We have 708. It overlooks the courtyard, she said. That'll do. The room was clean and spacious. Minimalist, white walls, an abstract painting, thick curtains, standard stuff. I walked to the window. It looked out onto a courtyard, just a narrow shaft between 2 buildings. Across from me, a mirror image of this hotel wing. Same floors, same windows. Below worn paving stones, an abandoned fountain, peeling benches. No people in sight, just silence. I unpacked, took a shower, ordered some food, spent the evening reading on my tablet, and occasionally glancing out the window. Everything felt normal, until the first time I looked out at night. Around 2 a.m., I walked past the window after my shower and caught movement in the corner of my eye. I froze. In the window directly across from mine, same floor stood a person. A silhouette, perfectly still, pressed close to the glass, staring right at me. For a second, I thought it was my reflection. I stepped closer. No, it was definitely another window. I turned off the lights to see better. Now I could see him clearly. He didn't move, didn't sway, didn't blink, just stared. I even waved. No reaction. I stood there for 10 minutes. Eventually, I closed the curtains. Not because I was scared, but because it felt wrong. And somehow, I was sure he knew I had seen him. The next evening, I looked again out of curiosity. He was there. Same silhouette. Same window. Same stillness. Now I started wondering, who was he? A guest? A staff member? But the entire wing across from me looked abandoned. No lights. Just that one window. Just him. I decided to record it. Grabbed my phone, aimed the camera. Started filming. Zoomed in. On screen, nothing. Across from me, just a blank concrete wall. I froze. With my eyes, I could still see the figure, but on video, just smooth, flat gray. I turned the camera, off was there. On gone, off there again. I started to panic, just a little. I closed the curtains, checked the camera on the mirror, on the window. Everything worked, except he didn't show up on any recording. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I felt him standing there, watching. On the 3rd day, I went to reception. I know this might sound weird, but who stays in the building across from room 708? The receptionist raised her brows. Across? What do you mean? My window faces another wing of the hotel. Are there guests over there? She looked at her monitor. Sir, that side is unused. That's the old section of the hotel. We don't rent those rooms out. But there's a light on. A man's been standing there for 2 nights, just watching. She hesitated. Maybe we should move you to another room? I declined. I don't know why. Maybe because I no longer trusted anyone. That night, I sat with the window open, watching. He was still there. Now he stood closer to the glass. I could see facial features. Or maybe I imagined it. I pulled out my binoculars, brought them for sightseeing, raised them, and froze. It was me. Same shirt, same hair, same face. I dropped the binoculars, lifted them again. The window was empty. On the fourth night, I made a decision. I left the hotel, walked around the building, found a back entrance into the old wing, climbed the stairs. The door was cracked open. It smelled of dust and rot. No lights, only my phone's flashlight. I walked through a long hallway peeling wallpaper, rotted carpet, where the window should have been just a solid concrete wall. I kept walking. All the rooms were sealed shut. Cobwebs, broken furniture, no electricity, no signs of life. I went down to the lobby. On the wall, an old evacuation map. And on that map, room 708 didn't exist. Not mine. Not the one across from me. I left the next morning. Fast. Almost ran. As my taxi pulled away, I got a text. No name. No number. Just words. Now you're the one in the window. I turned around. On the 7th floor, in my windows, stood a figure. My figure, just watching me. Story 2. The Room Without Mirrors. I ended up in that city by chance. My company sent me to a 3-day seminar someone had to go, and I wasn't quick enough to hide. It was a small industrial town, nearly dead after dark. I arrived late in the evening by train, exhausted, head buzzing. All I wanted was to crash in bed. I picked a hotel at random, the closest one to the station. From the outside, it looked strange. The facade was modern, but something about it felt old. Maybe it was the gray walls, or the flickering neon sign that buzzed in the wind. Maybe it was the complete silence. No traffic, no people. Just stillness. The girl at reception looked about 20, with dark circles under her eyes. She handed me a key card and spoke politely, but like she was reading off a script. Good evening. Room 209. Breakfast starts at 8. The bathroom is under renovation, so there's no mirror, but it's usable. I raised an eyebrow. No mirror? Yes, temporarily. Everything else is in order. Let us know if you need anything. I didn't care. I was too tired to argue. The 2nd floor was dim and damp. The hallway light was weak, the walls narrow, like in old buildings where the air smells like plaster and mildew. I found my door. The card worked on the first try. The room was ordinary. Slightly outdated furniture. The smell of wood. A stained carpet. TV, table, 2 beds, one clearly hadn't been used in a while. I undressed quickly and went to the bathroom. As soon as I turned on the light, I felt something was off. I stopped in the doorway. Above the sink, nothing. Just a smooth, blank wall. No mirror. No hooks. No signs that anything had ever been there. I looked around. There wasn't a single mirror in the entire room. Not by the door. Not near the wardrobe. Not on the bedside tables. Not even a small one. I'm not the panicky type. But it was weird. Not scary, just wrong. I picked up the phone and called reception. Same girl answered. Yes, sir? You said the mirror was removed temporarily? Yes, we're updating the interior in some rooms. Everything else okay? It's just like there was never a mirror at all. That's just the style of the finish. Nothing to worry about. Style of the finish? I let it go. I wasn't planning to stay long anyway. I washed up by touch, not even seeing my own face, and fell asleep almost instantly. But I woke up a couple of hours later. The room was dark. I wasn't sure what had woken me. There was a feeling, like someone was standing nearby. I sat up. My eyes slowly adjusted. And then I noticed the bathroom door was ajar. and it felt like something in there was looking at me. I stared into the darkness, motionless, for about 10 minutes. Finally, I stood up and switched on the light. Nothing, just empty air. The next morning, I went to the dining room for breakfast. It was empty, just an old man in the corner and a woman in uniform behind the counter. I approached her. Quick question. The mirror in room 209, it really was removed? She hesitated. Yes. Temporary. Some rooms are under renovation. What used to be in 209? She stiffened. Sorry. Which room are you in? 209. I see. She said nothing more. That evening, back in the room, I started noticing more details. A dark stain on the carpet looked like water. Scratches on the bathroom door, faint but real. In the wardrobe, just hangers, one of them broken, hanging by a single hook. The windows were sealed shut, but I could feel a breeze, cold air, a draft from nowhere, and I decided to test something. I had a pocket mirror in my bag, a gift from a previous trip. I propped it up on the desk at an angle, so it reflected the bathroom door. I lay on the bed and waited. Nothing happened at first. I glanced down at my phone, distracted, then noticed movement in the corner of my eye. Looked up. In the mirror, I was standing in the bathroom. Not moving. Not blinking. Just standing there. Same clothes. Same face. But it wasn't me. I jumped up, grabbed the mirror. The reflection was empty. I ran to the bathroom. No one. Just silence. Not even a dripping tap. I don't know if I slept that night. I just lay there, waiting for morning. The next day, I went to reception and found the same girl. I need to switch rooms. What's the issue? There's something wrong with 209. I don't feel safe. She looked uncomfortable. I'm sorry, sir. We're fully booked tonight. I looked at her closely. Tell me the truth. What happened in that room? She looked away. I'm not allowed to discuss that. I left the building, sat on a bench outside, and searched online. 10 minutes later, I found an article from 2013. A man was found dead in room 209 at the Brown Hotel. Cause of death: suicide. His body remained undiscovered for 3 days. The room was closed after the incident. I returned to the hotel. The reception desk was empty. I took the elevator to the second floor to grab my things. But my keycard didn't work. The lock flashed red. I found a staff member and asked what was going on. He checked the system. Sir, that room isn't active. It's been closed since 2013. Maintenance status. But I've been staying there. He frowned. That's impossible. It's not even in the system. No one can check into that room. I walked outside, shaken, turned to look at the building. Second floor, third window from the left boarded shut, and the door I had entered for 2 nights in a row, there was a rusted metal sign on it. Staff only, do not enter. Story 3, guest in room 413. I've been working the night shift at a hotel for over 2 years. The hours aren't for everyone, 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. It's rough at first. Everything's quiet, guests are tired or weird, but eventually you get used to it, especially in a place like ours, old but peaceful. A regular business hotel, clean rooms, basic service, quiet hallways. We have a night guard and coffee in a thermos. Most nights are uneventful. You check in a few guests, sit in the lobby, read a book, let in the occasional drunk or food delivery guy. Weird stuff happens sometimes, but rarely. That night started just like any other. By midnight, almost everyone had arrived. Just one late check-in to room 309. I was sitting behind the desk with my laptop, sipping coffee, glancing occasionally at the security monitors. Silence. Just the low hum of the kitchen fridge. I always liked that moment the city asleep, the building breathing slow. Around 10 a.m., the front doors opened. A man walked in. He looked perfect. Impeccable gray coat, small suitcase on wheels, light-colored shirt. Mid-50s, maybe. Composed face, calm eyes, polite smile. He stepped up to the desk. "Good evening. I'd like room 413, please." Out of habit, I turned to my screen. Then I paused. Room 413. We don't rent that room. Haven't in years. I knew that for certain. It's marked as closed in the system. I looked up. "I'm sorry, sir. Room 413 isn't available." "Why not?" he asked, voice soft. "There was an incident. It's been out of service since then. But we have other rooms on the 4th floor, 415, or 417. He smiled slightly, but his eyes didn't. "I used to stay in 413. It was my room. I believe you still have my reservation." I felt a chill. "Sir, the room doesn't even show in our booking system. It's locked out." "I understand. Still, check again, please." I politely refused. He didn't argue, just nodded, smiled, and calmly walked out through the glass doors. I sat there for a while, unsettled, then brushed it off. Weird guests at night, part of the job. An hour passed. I was still alone. Everything was quiet. Then, something flickered in the corner of one monitor. I glanced closer. Camera, 4th floor. Room 413's door was slightly open. That's impossible. The keycard for that room doesn't exist anymore. In the system, it's marked inactive. I refreshed the screen and froze. Room 413 now showed as occupied. There was no guest name, just a timestamp, 1:13 a.m. Almost exactly when the man came in. I grabbed the master key and headed upstairs. The 4th floor was dim. Long hallway, soft overhead lights. My footsteps sounded too loud. I reached the door. It was indeed ajar. Light spilled into the hallway. I pushed it open and stepped inside. The room was spotless. No dust, no broken furniture, nothing boarded up. On the bed, a neatly folded shirt, a watch, a leather wallet. I stepped into the bathroom. On the mirror, palm smudges like someone had been pressing their hands against the glass from inside. I left the door open and walked back down. I pulled out the physical guest log. We still used paper for backup. Flipped to today's date. There it was, written in precise, tidy handwriting. Melzer A. I broke into a cold sweat. That was him. Something clicked in my memory. I went to the back office and grabbed the old ledger from 2002. Flipped through July 14, 2002, Melzer A. Room 413. There was a red pen note, incident. I opened the hotel archive box. Inside, newspaper clippings, old records. One article read, "A man was found dead in room 413 of the downtown hotel. Authorities believe he took his own life in the bathroom. The guest had checked in 3 days earlier and went unnoticed. His name, Alexander Anatolievich Melzer." My knees nearly gave out. I'd just spoken to that man. An hour ago. He'd asked for the same room. He died 23 years ago. The next morning, the manager called me in. He wasn't angry, more serious than usual. "Why were you in room 413 last night?" I took a breath. Someone checked in. "I didn't authorize it, the system." "We checked the logs," he interrupted. "No access was recorded. That room is locked in the system. The cameras showed nothing. You went up there. Alone. But I saw him. He came in. I spoke to him. He looked at me. We reviewed the front door footage. After 1 a.m., no one entered the building." My mouth went dry. I remembered his face, the sound of the suitcase wheels, the faint scent of cologne. His voice. The manager sighed. "Take some time off. Clear your head. We'll call you." I left with shaking hands. On the way out, I turned back to look at the building. 4th floor. Window of room 413, the curtains were open, and someone was standing there. Looking down, I couldn't see the face, but I could swear he was smiling.